Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on monthly policy review which is being released by PRS Legislative Research. I'll be discussing MPR for the month of June 2022. MPR is something which is very important for prelims and mains examination because it gives you some authentic information and the reliable information that is required for the examination, right? So, brief about the PRS Legislative Research. This is an independent research initiative and it aims to strengthen the legislative process. It is based in New Delhi. For more details, you can refer to the websites also. And before I proceed, if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. So the first news, that is Agnipath scheme for the recruitment to the armed forces. This scheme was there in the limelight, and even the protest pan-India was there because of the implementation of the scheme and some of the features. But we are more concerned about the specific features of the scheme. So the Union Cabinet approved the Agnipath scheme for the recruitment to the armed forces, and candidate recruited under the scheme will serve for 4 years. So the duration for the total process for the Agnipath scheme would be 4 years, right? And people who would be coming after the 4-year training, the recruitees, will be known as Agniveers. And Agniveer will form a separate rank under the armed forces. Now, some of the key features that is again relevant for the prelims and many other competitive examination. So talking about the eligibility criteria first. So candidate between age 17.5 to 21 years would be eligible, but government has made some changes because of the protest, and the current year for this session is 23, right? For all the recruitment that would be made for 2022, the upper age limit is 23. Enrollment under the scheme will be through an online centralized system of all three services, that is Army, Navy and Air Force. Now, specialized rallies and campus interviews from recognized technical institution would be conducted for the recruitment. So this is about the eligibility process. Now, permanent enrollment की अगर बात करें, after completion of 4 years, the service that the Agniveers can apply for a permanent enrollment in the armed forces, right? And for each batch of the Agniveer that would be enrolled, उसमें से 25% person would be enrolled for a regular cadre in the armed force, and rest 75 would have to opt out. Now, individuals selected for the enrollment in the regular cadre would be required to serve a minimum period of 15 years. This is how the entire process of permanent enrollment will go about. Now, benefits की अगर बात करें, गवर्नमेंट इस स्कीम के अंदर क्या क्या बेनिफिट्स देगी. Agniveer will be given a monthly package, right? You can check on the websites. I'm not discussing that package in detail. Now, after completing 4 years of service, they will be paid one-time Seva Nidhi, which is around 11.7 lakh rupees. The recruited by the central government would be contributed towards the corpus equally, and these amount would be exempted from income tax. So this is an important point to note. And further, the Agniveer will be provided a non-contributory life insurance of over 48 lakh rupees during their tenure. And gratuity and pension benefits are not provided. So these are the 2 points that you must note, that the amount they would be receiving is exempted from income tax, and no gratuity and pension benefits is provided. Now, reservations की अगर बात करें, 10% of the job vacancies in the Defense Ministry will be reserved for the Agniveers, and the reservation will be implemented in the Defense Civilian Post, Indian Coast Guard, 16 Defense Public Sector Undertaking, Hindustan Aeronautical Limiteds, Macazon Dog Shipbuilders, and Munitons India's Limited. Now, the other news, criteria for the appointment of Chief of Defense Staff has been changed, has been amended. So the central government has changed the criteria for the appointment of Chief of Defense Staff, and by the amendment, by the changes that is there. So Air Force Regulation Act 1964, never ceremonial. Conditions for the service and miscellaneous regulation 1963 and Army Rules 1954. These are the changes that has been brought in to get a new, basically, Chief of Defense Staff. Now, earlier on, the Chief of 3 armed forces could appoint as a CDS only. Now, as per the new regulation and amendment, the government may appoint any serving or retired Air Marshal, Air Chief Marshal, Air Force from the Air Force, Vice Admiral or Admiral from the Navy, Lieutenant Governor or general from the army as a post of senior. So these people, this position are eligible for the part of the Chief of Defense Staff. Now, appointment of the retired officer, the respective individual should be less than 62 years. This was the earlier provision. Now the government has extended it, and an individual can serve till age of 65. Now, guideline for prevention of the misleading advertisement. I have discussed this news in daily news and editorial analysis. If you have not watched it, you can check out in details. I'll be giving you some of the specific features about this rules that has come up by the government. So the Central Consumer Protection Authorities issued a guideline misleading advertisement and endorsement of the misleading advertisement. So guideline में कुछ specific बातें कही गई हैं. The Act define the misleading advertisement. उसके criteria है ऐसी कोई भी advertisement जो false product के बारे में descriptions दे, even they're likely to mislead about the nature, quantity and quality of products, constitute unfair trade practices, deliberately conceal important information. So this would be guided under a misleading advertisement. ना कुछ की फीचर्स की अगर बात करें, एक वैलिड एडवर्टीजमेंट की क्राइटेरिया रखी गई है. दोज इंफॉर्मेशन विच कंटेन truthful and honest representation will be the part of the valid representation, and not misleading consumer, exaggerating with the accuracy, scientific and valid performance of the product. If the advertisement is backed by the scientific evidence and logic is there, it would be counted as a valid advertisement. Not presenting the claim of the advertisement universally accepted if the division of informed or scientific opinion. If it was scientific opinion backed there, then this would be treated as a valid advertisement. Not mislead consumer about the risk to the key security if they fail to purchase the product. Now, prohibition on surrogate advertisement. So the guideline prohibit surrogate advertisement, that is, they are advertising for the product whose advertisement is restricted or prohibited by law. The advertisement are portrayed and are being targeted at other product bypass the restrictions. Now, conditions for the bait advertisement, so which include they include advertisement which offer product for the sale at low price and attract consumer. So such advertisement would have a exit and reasonable prospect for selling a product on the advertisement price. Bait adequately supply of the product meets the foreseeable demand generated by the advertisement, or something which is not misleading the consumer on the market conditions of the product. So this is how the entire procedures and guideline has come up by the government. Now, conditions for the free claim of the advertisement. An advertisement must not describe any goods or services as being free if it is paying constituent cost other than responding to the advertisement or delivery, and the condition regarding the quality and quantity would have to change and offer a service delivery to detriment for the consumer. Now, the other news, that is draft amendment to the IT rules 2021. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology released a draft amendment to the information technology, that is known as Intermediary Guideline to the Digital Media Ethics Code 2021 for the public feedback. And this rule specify a due diligence requirement for the intermediaries to claim exemptions from liability and third-party content. Intermediaries are entitled which store to transit data on behalf of the other person. This includes the social media site, e-commerce companies and internet service providers. कुछ key features की अगर बात करें, the first and foremost is the obligations of intermediaries. Under this rule, the intermediaries to publish rule and regulate privacy policy and user agreement for the access of the users and the services. The rules specify restriction on the type of content that users can allow to create, upload and share. The rules require intermediaries to inform users about those restrictions, जो कि proposed amendment के अंदर होंगी, seeks to expand the obligation of intermediaries, which include ensuring compliances, जहाँ पे rules and regulation privacy policy would be involved, and causing user content not to create, upload, share the prohibited contents. Now, appeal mechanism against the decision, the grievance officers. इस rule के अंदर intermediaries जो है अपने grievance officer को designate करेंगे if any rules is being violated under the guideline. So the draft amendment proposed a mechanism for appeal against the decision of the grievance officers. A grievance appellate commissions will be formed by the central government to hear the appeal against the decision of the grievance officers. Now the committee will consist of a chairperson and other members appointed by the central government through a notification. The committee will be required to dispose of appeal within 30 days. This is the time limit within which the resolution has to be there. Now, expeditious removal of prohibited contents. The rule required the intermediaries to acknowledge the complaints regarding the violations of the rule within 24 hours and dispose the complaint within 15 days. This is with regards to the prohibited content. And the proposed amendment that the complaints regarding the removal of specific items content to be addressed within 72 hours. Now, Bharat new car assessment program for assessing the car safety. Basically, this also has been discussed in daily news and editorial analysis, but I'm discussing to give you some other important features about this program. So the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway has released the draft Center Motor Vehicle Amendment Rule 2021, and they have come up with the particular rules and procedures. The draft rule have been published under the Motor Vehicle Act 1988 that seeks to amend the Center Motor Vehicle Act 1989. प्रपोज रूल के अंदर गवर्नमेंट ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया है न्यू भारत कार असेसमेंट प्रोग्राम जो कि एक्सेस करेगी कार सेफ्टी उनके परफॉर्मेंस को लेकर के एंड अ स्टार रेटिंग वुड बी प्रोवाइडेड अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर बेसिकली जो उनकी परफॉर्मेंस है उसके अकॉर्डिंगली द कार्स वेट अप टू 3.5 टन can carry up to 8 passengers would be eligible for the assessment process. Again, an important point to note. The car manufacturers may be domestic manufacturer, indigenously manufactured हो सकती है या फिर imported car है, दोनों में eligible होंगे. Testing agency can accredit by the ministry. They have tested the infrastructures, skill program proven, and testing record would be authorized to access the car provided within the star rating. Now, स्टार रेटिंग में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट क्राइटेरियाज हैं बेसिकली अडल्ट ऑक्यूपेशन प्रोटेक्शन चाइल्ड ऑक्यूपेशन प्रोटेक्शन और सेफ्टी असिस्टेंट टेक्नोलॉजी ये तीन उसके होंगे एंड द भारत नेटवर्क अगर बात करें खास करके जो परफॉर्मेंस है दिस इज समथिंग विच विल बी वॉलंटरी प्रोग्राम मॉनिटर्ड बाय द BNCAP and the draft rule proposed the enforcement from 1st of April 2023. As per the rule, the car manufacturer must send in applications to the BNCAP authority for the star rating and the testing agency will conduct the test. उसके accordingly उसकी star rating की performance दी जाएगी and people would be aware of the fact that how protection of this car in terms of the crash that is taking place if a subsequently event or accident take place, right? इस तरह के रेटिंग से एडवांटेजेस ये होंगी जो इंडिया गाड़ी को एक्सपोर्ट करेंगी दूसरे कंट्रीज में उनमें भी एक ट्रस्ट वर्दीनेस बढ़ेगी काफ़ी ज़्यादा. Now, policy to promote startup in the railways technology. So the Ministry of Railway has announced the innovation policy. The policy seeks to promote innovation startup in railways technology and grant of up to 1.5 crore will be provided on selected startup on 11 specific problem areas. These areas include broken rail detection system, automation of the track, inspection activities, development of lightweight wagons, analytical tools for improving the passenger services, the use of geographical data for bridge inspections, and enhanced fund will be provided to scale up deployment of successful prototype. Intellectual property right will remain as a startup. Now the other news, that is National Air Sports Policy. The Ministry of Civil Aviation has released the National Draft Air Policy. The draft policy was released in January 2022. और अगर बात करें एयर स्पोर्ट्स की तो वेरियस एक्टिविटीज़ विच विल इम्प्रूव द मीडियम सच एज पैराशूटिंग एंड द हैंड ग्लाइडिंग. द पॉलिसी कवर 11 एयर स्पोर्ट्स एंड द पॉलिसी एनविजन्स दैट वन ऑफ द टॉप एयर स्पोर्ट्स डेस्टिनेशन टू मेक इंडिया वन ऑफ द टॉप डेस्टिनेशन बाय 2030. Now, what does it aims to? The policy बनाई गई है उसकी क्या क्या एम है. फर्स्ट टू अडॉप्ट इंटरनेशनल गुड प्रैक्टिसेस इन एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ एयर स्पोर्ट्स, चाहे वो सेफ्टी की बात हो, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऑपरेशंस, मेंटेनेंस एंड ट्रेनिंग. Enhance the participation and successful of Indian sports person in global air trade events. Promote design, development and manufacturing of air sports equipped with India. So this is how it will go ahead. Now some key features of this policy. So governance structure की अगर बात करें, the policy has 4-tier governance structure of air sports. First, there would be Air Sports Federation of India, which is known as ASFI, apex body होगी. National Association for Individual Air Sports for set air sports, regional of states level air sports association, district level air sports. तो ये कुछ important governance structure बनाए गए हैं. Accordingly, that things would be executed. Now ASFI will be an autonomous body under the Ministry of Civil Aviation. that will provide governance with all aspects of air sports under regulations, certification and penalty. So just to give you a reminder, जो ASFI है मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ स्पोर्ट्स के अंदर नहीं, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सिविल एविएशन के अंदर काम करेंगे, राइट? Now this will be chaired by the secretary of the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Now the national air sports will be accountable to AFSI for the regulatory oversight in providing safe, affordable and sustainable conduct of their respective sports. Each sports will reflect their own president, secretary and treasurer, or each sports will be associated with lay down the safety standard, equipment, infrastructure, personal training and global practices. The establishment norm for the insurance and compensation in the case of advertisement in the event, and specific that disciplinary action can be taken in case of deviations and willful non-compliances. So this is how the entire process would evolve. Now safety की अगर बात करें, the safety prohibits any person for entity involving India's air sports from voluntary and the right of way to mandated the aircraft. Further, any sports incident must be reported in writing within 48 hours of its occurrence, and concerned air association will take the action and report to the ASFI. The person or entities involved in the accident fail to adhere this requirement may have to pay the penalty. Now, other important decision by RBI. RBI has allowed the linking of credit card to the UPI. This is something will help a lot of consumer in the Indian market. So the Reserve Bank of India has allowed the linking of credit card to the unified interface, that is UPI, to make a payment. And initially only RuPay credit card will enable for this facility. Currently UPI की अगर बात करें, it facilitate the transaction by linking saving current account through the debit card of the users. अभी आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ अपने डेबिट कार्ड को UPI से लिंक कर सकते हैं और पेमेंट कर सकते हैं. After this approval which is already there by the RBI, इसकी फाइनल जो पूरी एग्जीक्यूशंस है, प्लान एग्जीक्यूट जब होंगे, आप क्रेडिट कार्ड से भी UPI की पेमेंट कर पाएंगे. So the new facility will be available after the completion of the required system development. It will take something another down the line 3 months. This is expected that very soon this process will start, and this will जो मार्केट में इकोनॉमी में जो मनी की सर्कुलेशन है, लिक्विडिटी है, वो भी बढ़ेगी, एंड इट विल हेल्प फॉर द कंज्यूमर ऑल्सो टू मेक देयर अमाउंट पेमेंट, और जो उनकी अपनी सेविंग होंगी वो बचा पाएंगे और क्रेडिट कार्ड के यूज़ के थ्रू ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पेमेंट्स कर पाएंगे. सो दिस इज हाउ द RBI हैज़ कम अप. I personally feel that this is very good decision by RBI after allowing a UPI payment with the credit card. So this was all about for the PRS. We have a lot more other initiatives for you like daily news and editorial analysis, IAS Gazetted, FCA, PIB, monthly policy review which I have just discussed. Gist of योजना कुरुक्षेत्र भी है. ये सारी चीज़ें हैं जो कि आपको हेल्प करेंगी इस प्रिपरेशन के जर्नी में, जो सेल थ्रू दिस जर्नी ऑफ सिविल सर्विसेज. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.